another beautiful day in the neighborhood that I reside in. And as you know, we come in each and every week with Dr. Anapute, Dreamland Health and Wellness. I have been learning so much. And welcome in, Dr. Anapute.
Hi, Harold. Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you again. And we have been getting some information out. And I told you before we came on, I've got some sisters and some brothers, who are gaining some knowledge about sleeping habits. But you have a classroom full of illiterate sleepers, if that's fair to say. we're not doing too good, Doc, when it comes to sleeping habits in the senior community of Indianapolis. I'm just letting you know. They is like, dang, ain't you? I don't do it. I said, bro, I'm with you. But no, this is good information. And I told you, as I keep absorbing and digesting this information, Dr. Anapute, I always like to come up with topics to stay off of the grid of doctor speak and then get into the doctor giving just, lay questions. And I was thinking, I said, this sleep is really important. And I got to thinking about the history of sleeping. And the only time I can remember where sleep was really priority is when my daughter was born, and us making our daughter have certain times to go to bed, making time certain times after we fed her when she needed to go to sleep. I mean, sleep was on the top of the rung.
Right.
And somewhere along the line, Dr. Anapute, little sister could make decisions on her own, and sleep did not become the priority that it was. Can we go into just that psychology of how we know it's important, but then it wanes as people get older and the times of life when that separation of the importance of sleep starts to happen? Can we just go from the start, from infant? We know it's important, else we wouldn't be prescribing sleep in the 8 hours and all the different regimens. So let's just go there.
Yes. So typically, once children grow into the adolescent age, that's when we see that they stop following instructions about when to go to bed, when to get out of bed, school
When
time.
to get home.
I know, right? They want
So
to stay.
everything, yeah, they start
Yes.
breaking rules on everything about that
Yep, they want to
adolescence.
stay out late. The only thing that really dictates when they get out of bed is because they have to go to school. And then on the weekends, they just do what they like altogether. But it would surprise you that even before that age, a lot of parents are struggling to have their little ones in the age group of 4, 5, and up to get in bed because they just don't want to take a nap. They just don't want to go to bed. They give excuses. I have a lot of mothers who tell me that their child would request for 101 things before bedtime. I want to pee. I want water. I want milk. I want snacks, all just to delay bedtime. And talk about nap time for the little 5 and below. They don't want to take a nap. They just want to play, jump around, and all of that. But once they get to that adolescent age, it becomes really difficult for parents to have that control. And that's really when people begin to lose out on having a consistent bedtime and wake up time. More so wake up time because on weekends they switch out schedule. People take on jobs that are shift works, jobs, and that just messes everything up altogether.
This is unbelievable because I was speaking, before we come on, and we always just brief and discuss how we're going to let the conversation flow. But I was thinking about all the peripheral effects of young people not having healthy sleep, and we might be attacking that child as being a disruptive child in school, but it's because he did not or she did not have proper rest. Someone always becoming ill while 98% of the people are not, maybe because of not the proper rest. So talk about some of the things that not getting a healthy sleep can do to a child going through adolescence, because they're going through some physical changes as well.
Yes, very, very, very good question. So there is a stage of sleep called the N3 stage. And this is the stage where the growth hormone is released or is being produced. And so, if a child in their growth stage is not getting enough sleep, getting the adequate amount of sleep needed, that child will have problems with growth and development. And so, making sure that the child or that adolescent child is getting the right amount of sleep, where they can get that stage of sleep in, that's the N3 stage, is very necessary. There are so many other things that happen during sleep. There's restoration of memory. And that's why we always say, if you are preparing for an exam and you're studying all through the night, you're not getting enough sleep, the chances of you getting into that exam hall and blanking out is very likely because you're not getting enough sleep to restore or regenerate all that memory and get have all that knowledge deposited in your brain. And so this affects them long term, right? They for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're like, oh my God, I have to crash work, I have to study so hard, and they sacrifice their sleep. And then on the day of the exam, they're like, oh my God, I can't remember what I read. And so I always tell my young adults, the young ones, if you have a test, make sure you're getting enough sleep because that can affect your grades. The other thing I see very common amongst people who are not getting enough sleep is that they are so irritable. Talk about depression, talk about anxiety, talk about irritability. Very, very common if you're not getting enough sleep. And so I always tell my friends, if you have anyone who is acting up at work, so touchy, so irritable, you just
Take a
want,
nap.
you want to ask
So
them,
go get some sleep.
ask them how many hours of sleep did you get last night? Because you'll be surprised that they didn't get good sleep. And so
you,
these are
you
the
know,
things.
this is so, we started out with a simple conversation, but I'm starting now to think about all, I mean, because basically we're talking about your brain being this computer that needs to be reset to, properly function is what we're really saying in this 21st century technology age. If it doesn't reset, then the things that might be go in might get lost in a different file or whatever, if you want to compare it that way. But then I would imagine the older that child gets through adolescence, and then he goes to college, and now he can really wild out. Those habits are only going to be perpetuated by the freedom not to have to.
Yeah.
Uh, how much does the nutritional factor go into this? Because we know that young people don't eat proper as well. So now the stuff you're eating probably helps you get all jacked up and hyped up.
Oh my God, that brings in another component of sleep altogether. So,
Yeah.
so poor eating habits can lead to obesity. And then with obesity, you're at risk of sleep apnea. And that even makes your sleeping more, difficult, makes you getting refreshing sleep more difficult. And so with the increase in weight from poor eating habits, um, they already are not sleeping well. They already are not getting enough hours of sleep. Then you add sleep apnea to that. Oh my goodness, that is such so disruptive to the sleep because they're going to keep waking up intermittently in the middle of the night and the little sleep opportunity time that they already have. And so you can already see that that is not going to end well at all.
This is phenomenal. And I told you, I just want to make this interesting so the listener will say, "Dang, I never thought about sleep like that." As we continue to do this, I don't know the time frame we have, but as long as we do, we're going to make sleep wellness one of the priorities. Like you have to have water, you have to have air to breathe, and you need sleep to survive properly and keep your healthy life together because it triggers all together.
Right.
And so that's the reason we continue to bring this information to you. In closing, to the parents or the grandparents who are having young people starting to go through adolescence, if you could just give them one or two tips to try to make sure, because we know we lose control after a certain age, but what could we do or say to maybe just give advice to the young person about how important sleep is? Because I don't think we start there. I think we just, we lose the control and we're losing control, but we're not explaining, hey, look, if you want to, play ball better, if you want to get better grades, here's how important sleep is, man. I don't know.
Right, right. And so, yes, and it all starts from us as the parents, right? Because what these kids see us do is what they're going to do.
What they gonna do?
Yes. So we are the mentors. We are the examples. If we're watching screen up until bedtime, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go into the room and turn on their video games.
You take a snack to the room and watch late night movie, they're taking a snack to the
Right.
room.
That's
Right.
what they're going to do. And so, starting out with us and modeling the right way
There you
is really where it starts from. So that when we're teaching them, we're educating them, they're seeing us and they learn what the right thing is to do. Yeah, I think that's really where it starts from.
This is great, Dr. Anapute, and as I told you, you continue to amaze me with this information because it seems so simple, but it is so valuable and so important. And to the listeners who are out there and want to take part in sleep studies or find out more about how obesity and your aesthetics can affect your sleep and your whole life period, go to Dreamland Health and Wellness. You can go to dreamlandhealth.com, or you can go to the site on radionext.tv, click the link, and it'll take you right there. Dr. Anakute, thank you so much again for this great information.
Thank you.
Absolutely.